Hey family, thank you for hopping on today, Wealth Builders. Look, it's Wealth Wednesday. Let's get into it. I want to talk to you guys about being the chosen one in your family. And if you are the chosen one, then you know what I'm talking about. You know what we get ready to talk about. All right. So listen, even if it's not you, it might be a friend, it might be a family member, it might be a coworker that needs to hear this message. So just make sure you stay to the end and make sure you share it with them because we want them to be a part of our family too. All right. I'll see you guys over there. All right, so look, I know that I've told you guys several times before that in my immediate family, I was the first person to do a lot of things, right? Go to college, get my master's, move away into another city, and stay for long periods of times, potentially even get on a plane, definitely leave out of the country outside of being in the military and having to or what have you. I did a lot of things, right? So of course they looked at me like I was the little Pocahontas of just exploring, just want to see everything. And with that, right? And this is not particularly about my family. It's just I have had friends along this journey. And some of the things that they were going through with their family, I wasn't really experiencing it and I couldn't really understand why. But now over time, I do very much understand why. So if you travel a lot, if you're doing a lot of things that is out of the ordinary, you can be looked at differently within your environment. It could be amongst your friends, it could be amongst your family, your coworkers, whatever, right? But it hits a little different when it's amongst your family. And so I have been in situations where my mom didn't even know where I was at in my 20s. I just didn't even think, because I was grown, I was living on my own. I didn't even think to check in and say, hey, look, I'm about to travel for a bit. I'm going to be gone for this amount of time. She just would happen to call me and then I would tell her where I'm at, right? However, some of my friends couldn't do that because they had children. And so they had to go ahead on and make sure that their kids were squared away and everything like that if they wanted to travel and if they wanted to be in those spaces. And one thing I noticed a lot of times that happens in those environments were it really seemed like people were hating on them a little bit. Now, this could have been happening to me as well, but once again, for me, I'm so locked in and focused on my own little bubble and what I'm trying to do that a lot of times that just flies over my head. But because I also wasn't asking anyone to hold anything down for me while I was gone, they didn't really have room to say too much about what it was that I was doing. And so I do understand that part, right? However, they needed breaks too. Just because you're a mom, you need a break. If you're taking care of your family and your child, when I say your family, adults and your child, you need a break sometime. But what I noticed was if people had not been accustomed to doing the things that you're doing, sometimes they can be a little weird to you. Or make you feel bad about needing the break, or make you feel bad about being away from your child, or making you feel bad about taking off work because you need those jobs. You don't need to be taking off left and right. You need to work and everything like that. And so if you have experienced that, that's the conversation that we're having. And the other conversation that we're having also is when you are excelling in life, a lot of times you're just going to be the chosen one in your family that people are going to come to for money. People are going to come to for advice. People are going to come to if they need somewhere to stay. Even it's a plethora of things that come with you being the one willing to do something out of the ordinary in your family. So listen, when it comes to me, right, let's just use me as an example. I talk about mindset wealth building. I talk about how to grow money and life insurance because that's what I'm licensed in, as well as retirement because we help in that space too with annuity. By me talking about money all of the time, right? One would naturally say, she got it. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. That's not something I care to share how much money I have with people or how much money I make in business and things like that. But it doesn't matter whether I do or not. If they're tuning in and they're listening to my content, they know I'm talking about money a lot, and people naturally associate that with I can ask her for money. I can go to her when I need certain things. You have to understand what you can and cannot do in those spaces if that's happening to you. So if you have a certain job, you might be making the most money in your family that anyone's ever made, and it's a thing called survivor's remorse. And there was a show about that. I used to really like that show, actually. And so you should definitely check it out if you're experiencing anything that I'm talking to you about here, because it actually points out a lot of moments where he came from the hood. He moved him and his immediate family to the city that his team was. He had got drafted into the NBA, and he often were faced with challenges of how to pour back into the community, his own community back home, and how people look at him now that he's made it and thinking that he's changed. So if you're experiencing that, might be a good show. It's also pretty funny because Mike Epps was in it. Now, but that really is a real thing. I really didn't know what survivor's remorse looked like and felt like until I watched that show, actually. And If you're a giver and you're a helper, or you're a naturally good person and you don't like having to tell people no, this can be that spot where you could really start to feel taken advantage of if you don't come up with some boundaries that you are just not willing to cross when it comes to you being able to survive and take care of yourself, as well as looking out for the people that you care about and that you love. Now, determining those boundaries is going to be something that you really may have to sit with for a while, because you might not even know what your boundaries need to be. But I will give you a rule of thumb. Me and my guy, when we dated, we technically had people calling us wanting to borrow money, right? And it would be multiple people in 1 month, from his side, from people I knew, friends, family, whatever, right? And I said, you know what? We have a lot of money going out while we're still trying to build and do what we want to do for ourselves. So we literally had to say, we have this amount of money we're allowed in a month. Whoever gets to it first or whatever, once it's gone, we can't help anybody else. Now, that might sound crazy that we're doing it that way, but it was either going to be that, or we was just going to tell people no and then feel bad about it, or either we were going to keep overgiving, right? And we weren't in position to keep overgiving when we were trying to build ourselves. So what we did, we just came up with a healthy number that we felt comfortable with giving away, because at the end of the day, we weren't sure if we would get it back. So we had to just look at it like, this is the amount of money we can give away and we can allot. Once again, whoever gets to it first, if they don't take the whole amount, then we have a little bit left that we can share. But we had to just put a boundary on it until we felt comfortable enough to just say no or whatever. And that's fine, because when we get money and we get certain things in life, we want to be able to pour that back in a healthy way. But you don't want to be taken advantage of, as well as most people have the ability to get out here and earn, and they then need to start doing what you're doing as far as looking at their own budget. Make sure you watch some of my other videos about how you can create those budgets and know what you have coming in and going out and things like that. They need to do that too. You might need to share that video with them, because it's a bigger problem if it's the same person or same people calling you every month. And so we were not in position to substitute somebody's income. We could just help here to there if you needed it. And we just had to create a safe space and a boundary for ourselves that we felt comfortable with, where we can still help our people, however, not put ourselves in the hole from the other things we wanted to do, because we have to pay bills, but we like to do some things too, as far as travel or go on dates or whatever. And it started cutting into that money, just having it go in and out. It started cutting into our time together on dates. And I love my dates, and I just wasn't okay with that happening. So I'm not saying don't help anybody until you get into position, which would be logical and it would be fair. If you don't feel comfortable doing that and you feel like, I feel guilty, you need to start allowing how much you can let out a month, and that is it. Once that's gone, that is the ceiling. The boundary has been hit. And if those same people need it every month, you have to then start backing into having to build the courage to say no, or how you can help them with their budget so that they don't need your money all the time. Rick Ross, he notes all the time that his family doesn't ask him for money, because once he got on, he created businesses that they could sustain. He didn't just have a business and give it to them. He taught them the business. It might have been a business that they wanted to do anyway, and he helped them grow those businesses so they don't lean on him for money. They literally have successful businesses. So I'm telling you this, and he's wealthy. So if they knew to figure this out, then I'm telling you guys, even if we don't have as much, we have to figure it out if we want to make sure we'll have enough money for ourselves in retirement, as well as our children. Right? Because that is definitely priority for us to sustain through life. And to be honest with you, if the people you're helping can't help you sustain in those spaces with your children or with retirement down the road, when you're not even in position, I'm bringing up retirement in particular because you're then not in position to make always the amount of money you're currently making. So that has to be prioritized. And if the people that you're helping is not going to be in position to help you down the road, or if they're not able to pay you back right now, you need to really take this into consideration, because your retirement is going to be vital for you down the road. And you can't over give now and then don't have enough then, because you're not really in position to make a whole lot more money to be able to take care of yourself, right? And then you probably didn't properly take care of your children financially for them to have the extra money to be helping you in retirement, right? So you want to break that hamster wheel right there. You want to break that generational curse, if that's what you want to call it, right there. You want to make sure you're at least able to take care of yourself in retirement so that your children doesn't have to do it financially, which will allow them to have more money. And then you're breaking that curse. So when their kids come along, their children doesn't have to take care of them financially. And then they can start just seeing their money a little bit more. They can just handle it a little bit better. But that starts now with how you're allowing money to leave out of your house and out of your bank account now. This is me just being as honest as I can be with you guys. If I was an aunt telling my niece the advice, this is exactly what I would tell them. You have to have boundaries with lending money to friends and family. You just have to have a boundary in that space, because if not, you're going to deplete yourself out. You're going to feel guilty not helping them, but you're going to feel even worse when you don't have nobody to call to help you. Now, you were the chosen one to be the one in your family that could take off running and get some things done. And that's not to say that that was easy for you, because most of the time you had to learn a lot of these things on your own, and you had to take a lot of losses along the way of that journey, speaking from experience, right? However, I don't think that this is something for you to be mad about. Don't get frustrated with that, because somebody had to be the first one, or either your family, your lineage would keep being in a certain space of not doing, right? Not traveling, not being cultured, with seeing things outside of your home. Of course, reading helps in that space. Of course, the internet does as well, but it's a lot different when you can see things with your own eyes and experience things with your own eyes, and then start introducing your children to that, and then getting them accustomed to doing it. It's just a different set of tools, a different set of the way you look at life, right? And so don't be mad that it was you that had to start it. Just try to figure out a way that you can then either get the other people around you to be able to do it with you, or either you could just get them in a space of not necessarily needing things from other people. They can just really rely on themselves to generate that income. But once again, since you're the chosen one, right? What can we do with being chosen? I genuinely feel like everyone here is put here on earth to help in some type of way. You're literally put here for a reason. And I would dig deep in finding that reason, because it could be a nonprofit organization that you can pour into, as far as you can work with some kids and take them. I had an idea to take kids on summer vacation every year, because a lot of kids don't get to experience that. They have not went to the beach, and where I'm from is not that far from the beach, and they just haven't been. There are kids that never would probably go out of the country unless someone introduced them to that, right? And made them feel comfortable with that, the process of traveling and getting on a plane, right? So you can do like nonprofit work with children or adults, right? You create your own nonprofit. You can also, if you're good at money and budgeting, you can also give back and just help your community with budgets. You can literally get a job in your town or city on a board to help fund your communities better, right? Take the knowledge that you have, take the ambition that you have, take the fact that you're not afraid, and do good in this world with that. Because the world needs it, for one, and you have it for a reason. And I genuinely believe you should pour that back into the world. Don't be selfish and keep it all to yourself. Give it to others. Show your friends how to do it. Show your family how to do it, right? And they're going to come to you anyway for advice. So instead of just feeding into whatever it is, you might get an attitude at the fact that I just need this right now. I understand that. But if they need it all the time or multiple times, it's now, if you want access to what I can give to you, then the conversation does then become, I need you to learn these things that I want you to learn too, for me to feel comfortable consistently giving you money or taking care of you. Maybe you can come and be an employee of mine, if you feel comfortable with that or not. However, it is when you have the skills and the skill set and you can give that to other people, teach it to them. Don't just be the person that's successful and just want to feel boastful about that. No, pour that back into the world, because other people need to know how you're doing it as well, where you got the courage and the comfort to do it as well. Grab that phone and get on social media, start telling people how you're doing things. And I promise you that would be a good contribution to give back to the world, right? Because once again, some people want to know, some people want to do exactly what you're doing. They just don't know how. And if you can help them, I always say, lend a helping hand, because at the end of the day, somebody's going to ask you for help anyway. And I'm not lying, because it's already happening, right? And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I knew ever since I was a little girl. And if you think back over your life, you can that life was going to go this way for you anyway. You were going to be successful. You were going to keep trying. Even if you don't feel like you reached the peaks that you want to reach in life, you're going to never probably give up on trying to reach these peaks. And if you think back over your life, you probably thought different as a child, as far as like, remember when I was little, I used to say, like, I think I'm just supposed to be wealthy. I think I'm supposed to be like queen or something. Like, I would have stayed like Africa, just being honest. I was like, I thought that I came from a lineage of royalty. And I've been saying this ever since I was little, that I genuinely just felt like life was supposed to be different for me financially. And my mom notes this now, like, it still recall me saying this. And so when you were young, you probably felt the same way. Like, you just always kind of these certain sets of ambitions. And it might not have been when you were a little child. It could have came when you got to high school, when you just knew how you wanted to dress, how you wanted to feel. And then it carried on over to college or whatever you decided to do after that. And so let me tell you something, that's probably never going to leave you. And so you're always going to keep striving. And along the way, you going to be people that you probably leave behind because they're not striving as hard, but they may want to, right? And so they may ask you for help, but not money. They may be asking you for business help or advice or something like that. Lend an ear and just see where they're at with it, because they just want to know how you're doing it. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of people that may look at you weird or seem like they're hating and just always maybe have little snarky things to say, like, I always travel, I need you to sit down somewhere, or hey, big money. Those little comments, those are hating comments, let's be clear. But a lot of times people do it because they really want to know how you're doing it and they don't know how to ask. Now that's not good. You're not good for them to go about it that way. But some people just don't know how to properly communicate. And so I chose in my life to tell them sometimes, like, just did this so you could try it. So that they can feel like, hey, I don't really have a need to hire her. She's telling me how she's doing it. Because I can promise you can give somebody the blueprint and they will still rather pay you to do it for them. So imagine telling somebody who is not even in position to pay. You can tell them exactly how you did it, and they still don't want to, a lot of times, put in the work that's required for them to get it done, even though you're telling them it will work if they just did it consistently and consistently. So those are things in life that you're just not going to get around. People are going to never want to work as hard as you a lot of times, and people are more than likely going to want to pay you to do something for them versus you tell them how to do it and they're done with it and they're just going to go do it. The Lord has a divine purpose for your life. You might not even be able to determine exactly what it is. You just know that something better or bigger is supposed to be happening in your life. And if you keep pushing toward that, if you keep following the plan, asking God to show you your steps, I promise you, your life is going to be far bigger than what you ever thought it could be. You do have to go by way of the Lord now. I'm telling you, in order to really see all the fruits and glory that you could see here on this earth, because we know the ultimate glory is in heaven. But I'm telling you guys that wasn't in you for no reason. You might have had a lot of hard times happen on the way of this goal. And in my opinion, that's the enemy. That's the devil trying to stop you from being what the Lord has you to be here on this earth, which is like great. And your idea of great and the Lord's idea of great in your life are probably two totally different things. It might not be something financial. It might just be cultural and world experiences that you are able to share and speak on a big stage and tell the world. You might not are meant to be rich. It could just be he want to put you in position to do his work. Either way, you do definitely have a calling in your life, and I don't want you to stop because you feel used or taken advantage of. You just have to have some boundary along the journey of this. And then once again, it's your wealth mindset. This is a part of your own wealth mindset, is to have boundaries when it comes to your finances and to your time, right? Because people might want to hang out with you all day, but you have other things to do. They're going to look at you funny like, oh, you change. Well, that's fine, because I don't have hours to sit and do nothing. I can spend time with you, but I cannot spend 24 hours or 10 hours of my day playing a video game. It just doesn't logically make sense for what you're trying to do in your life. So you have to remember that you're a little bit different, and that's okay. It's not being rude. You're just doing what you have to do. Okay. If you guys want to know more about how you can save money in life insurance products that don't plan to market, but will grow and compound your interest, there is a scanner code right here for you guys so that you can book a call to get a free quote and to see how those policies will work for you. Because at the end of the day, we're dealing with money and we're dealing with wealth, and we don't always want to put our money in the market, and I'm going to help you guys in that space. And once again, if you're the chosen one, there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually a blessing. You just have to figure out what your divine destiny is so that you can really hone in on that. And then remember, create the boundaries that you need along the way. because there are going to be some people that need a lot from you or want a lot from you because they think you have it, or either they're going to need a lot of your time and you don't really have a lot to squander, right? But you do still want to be present in those spaces with your family and your loved ones, because that is also a part of this life and living and having a good life, right? So it's really just about creating boundaries and understanding how to work in those spaces, and also how you can give back to this world in whatever way that's within your wheelhouse and in your capacity, right? Thank you so much for hopping on, and family, I'll see you next time. And don't forget, watch my next videos. I got you.